Hi pen friends, Happy New Year!
Happy New Year!
So to celebrate 300 subscribers, we're going to be doing an updated version of my most popular video.
But with me?
Yes, but with my daughter Eve. So my most popular video was my top 5 favorite fountain pens that I recorded last January.
You seem to really like it.
Yes, it's been viewed quite a bit. So we figured we'd do an updated version because since I recorded that, Eve has joined me as my co-host.
Yes.
So we're going to show you her top favorite from our combined collections. Actually, she chose 5 that were in my collection. And then we'll show you my top 5 favorite. So join us over at our table.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, so we're going to be writing on Tomoe River paper, and we're going to show you the pens in no particular order. So Eve's first favorite is the Lamy Safari in the blue. It's in the blue macaron color.
I'm going to give you a side view.
Yeah. And this is a steel nibbed pen. This particular one has an extra fine nib. And we have Watermen inspired blue ink in it. So why do you like this pen, Eve?
I like it mostly because of the really beautiful light teal color. And I think I like all of the Lamy Safaris.
Yeah, I like them too. Yeah. I like their pretty colors.
Yeah, me too. So I thought I had to do at least one Lamy Safari here.
Yeah, they're very popular pens, and they write really well. The only thing I don't like as much is they're a pretty simple looking pen, and sometimes I like something a little bit fancier. Well, but I think that's a good choice. Why don't you write the name of the pen down for us?
I like writing. I like at least one.
Yeah.
And with my pens being kind of simple. Ooh, beautiful.
And the cool thing about the Lamy Safaris is that you can switch out the nibs on them. So you can have extra fine through broad, or you could have a like a italic nib. They have a variety of different size italic nibs.
I like the italic nibs.
Yeah. And they also have a nice little ink window there.
Yeah. And I like to see my inks when I write.
So Eve's next pen on her list is the Visconti Opera Elements in the Fire color, which is one of SBRE Brown's favorites also, because it looks like a candy cane. Is that why you chose it?
Yeah, that's why I chose it. And also, I like how in the red there are like these little lines of white.
Yeah, it's a really pretty pen.
And it kind of makes it look like they're individual stones put together to make a pen.
And the clip is hinged, so it's easy to move. And the fastening system, you have to push the pen in a little bit when you turn it. Mine doesn't, the cap doesn't, there's something wrong with the inner cap, so that can be a flaw of this pen. Mine also sometimes leaks a little bit around this area, but this one has been custom ground to an italic, but it has a nice 23 karat palladium nib, and it's springy and juicy, and it's a very nice nib.
Juicy?
It's juicy. Oh, you're smushing your words.
Ooh, no!
And we had a little problem here with the juiciness of the pen. So that's one thing about juicy pens, is that they don't dry very quickly. So that's also can be considered a negative of this pen. By the way, the Lamy Safari and the Visconti Opera Elements both have converters.
No. Well, at least that shows the upsides and downsides of the pen.
Yeah. You have...
Oh, I got ink on my finger. Well, that's what happens when you play with inks and pens.
Eve's next pen is a Montegrappa Elmo in the Bassano color.
I like this one because sometimes when I eat this type of yogurt and it has like pretzels mixed in, and it has like these big globs of like all the salt.
Mm-hmm. So this reminds you of that yogurt.
Yeah, it reminds me of that big glob of salt, and whenever I taste it, I love it because I just love it.
So this pen has sterling silver trim, and it has a I think it's an 18 karat gold broad nib, and it's a two-tone nib. All right, and it's also a cartridge converter.
I hope this one isn't juicy, because then there'll be juicy next to juicy. It'll be just too juicy. Any fountain pen friends who have kids, get this.
We also ran into that.
No.
These are going to be juicy, my friend. These pens are juicy. The next one in Eve's list is the Omas Paragon in Arco bronze. So this is a celluloid pen, and Omas is no longer in business, but it's one of my favorite companies. They make beautiful pens that write really well, and this one has a 14 karat gold extra flexibile nib. All right, and it's a piston filler.
Yeah.
So that's the piston knob, and it turns to fill ink in the pen.
The reason I like this one is because it looks like a squirrel.
Mm-hmm. So she likes those patterns, those brown patterns.
Because it looks like a squirrel.
It's really, really pretty, especially in the cap.
And it looks like a squirrel also.
Okay.
It also looks like a squirrel, by the way.
And the ink that we have in this pen is Kobe Suma Ura Seaside. So Eve is not really used to using a flex pen, so it can be a little tricky. Yeah. All right, and Eve's last choice is a Watermen nurse's pen in Ivory Celluloid. And this is a pretty small pen, and it's a lever filler. And this has a 14 karat gold extra.
My hands look huge compared to it. I like it because it looks like a pearl, and I really like that shine, and I just love how it looks like a pearl.
It does look like a pearl. And the ink that we have in this pen is Diatramentis Green Tomato.
Green tomato.
Alright, so those are all of Eve's favorites, so line them up here so that you can see them. I think she picked some nice pens there. Alright, and now I'm going to show you my top 5 favorites. So mine aren't in any particular order either. I'm going to start out with this Stipula Faceted Etruria in the Gran Sasso color, which is also called black and green. So this was a Chatterley Luxuries exclusive, and it has silver trim. This is number 2 out of 18 that were made. It's a beautiful celluloid, and it has a 14 karat gold nib. It's a medium. And this is a piston filler. I have Mont Blanc Irish green ink in this pen. So of my 5 top favorites this year, 2 of them are the same as last year and 3 of them are different. So this one was on my list last year. And this one is a new one on my list. This was made by Tom Westerich. It's called a Goldfink, and it's put together from some materials that were used by Italian companies. So the celluloid, for this pen, it's called Black Pearl, but I recognize it as a celluloid that was used by Montegrappa, and it was called Green Marble, although it's more of a yellow color, but it's got a beautiful pattern in it, and I really like that. And this pen has an Omas, a vintage Omas nib. It's 14 karat gold, and it has, this is probably like one of the top 2 nibs in my collection. It's really bouncy and juicy. So I'm going to call this Westerich Goldfink. It's got Goldfink printed, I think it was on the body, but I lost track of where it says it. But anyways, somewhere on there it says Goldfink, which is actually an old company, an old German pen company, and that Tom took over lately. But this has an Omas nib, so I also like to mention that. And so this is the Black Pearl celluloid, also known as green marble. And I have the Papier Plume Moss green ink in this pen, which sometimes is a light colored ink, but this pen is probably the wettest one in my collection, so it puts down the ink really heavily. It can bleed through papers quite easily, but the feeling of it when I write is really wonderful. So the next pen on my list, this is a celluloid that I've been hunting down for a long time. It's one that Tebaldi used to use that they called Havana Blue, and this is a pen by Stipula, and they called this celluloid champagne sometimes, or fiesole. And but in this pen, this is a Stipula Isola, and they call the color Lipari. And this is number 2 of 40 pens made. Stipula is an Italian company, and this nib is 18 karat gold fine nib, and it works really, really well. And you can see this pen was made for WES, which I think was the Writing Equipment Society. So it has those letters on the top of the cap. So this is a Stipula Isola Lipari, and the ink that I'm using in it is Visconti green, which is looking quite blue right now, but it's more, kind of like a teal green. I really love that color. So this is also a piston filler. And the next pen on my list is one that, this is probably my favorite fountain pen in my collection. It has the best nib in my collection. So this is an Omas Milord in the Arco bronze celluloid. It's the same celluloid as the pen that Eve chose, and it's just a different style pen. It's bigger, and it's a little bit heavier. It's got a piston, and I think it has kind of more modern look. This clip is meant to look like the, well, actually I'm not sure. I was about to say Ponte Vecchio because of Visconti's pens that are like that, but anyways, no. They are similar clips, but this has more like a traditional Italian clip on there. These are both really great pens, but this one I feel has a bit better nib, even though they're both the extra flessibile 14 karat gold nib. This one works a little bit better for me, and this one I had taken out of another pen and put in here, so it's got a darker colored nib than the trim. Okay, so that's ruthenium coated. I was trying to think of the word ruthenium. Omas, Celluloid, Arco bronze. Sorry. And the ink that I have in here is Robert Oster Eucalyptus leaf, which is a beautiful color ink. I know a lot of people love that ink, and I'll show you how this nib flexes. It's a really, really great nib. I'm sad that Omas is no longer in business. So my pen has trouble with lining up the bright sides of the celluloid, the pattern lining up with the cap and the body. So what I did was I just put a little piece of art tape down in there. It's like a acid-free tape. I don't know if I can get a view of it in here, but anyways, I just put a little bit of tape along the inside of the cap on the threads, and then I just keep an eye on where I need to stop to line up the celluloid, and I think that works fine. If I didn't mention it, this is a piston filling pen. So Omas was an Italian company as well, and I find that the Italian companies tended to use really beautiful celluloids, which is one of my favorite things in my collection, is beautiful celluloids. But this one is a different, my last pen in my top 5 favorites is a different material that's quite interesting. It's called casein, and it's made out of milk, actually. It's a product of milk that's hardened, and it's really important not to let it get too wet for a long time because it can disintegrate. But if I take care of it, it should last for a long time. So this is a Wahl-Eversharp deco band. It's the modern version of Wahl-Eversharps, and they're bigger than the old ones. It's quite a large pen. So Wahl-Eversharp deco band, and the color is called Milky Way. And I love those wavy stripes. They're partly opaque. The white part is opaque, and then there's clear parts in between. This is a pneumatic filler, so it has sort of like a piston knob that pulls out. You have to untwist this, which it can be really, really difficult, and then pull it out. So that's one thing about these Wahl-Eversharps that I don't like, is trying to get this knob to pull out. And also the casein can change in size depending on the humidity. So the first one of these pens that I got, I actually couldn't get the pneumatic tube to pull out at all, and I had to send it back, and they replaced it for free with this one. And then that was because the casein had contracted and it just was too tight to pull this tube out. And then it might have to do with the casein material also, but this little logo fell off of my pen, and I had to send it back and have that put back on. But there's a good warranty for the pen, and so that was all done for free. So that's good. Otherwise I'd be pretty upset by that. And this has an 18 karat gold super flex nib, and it's supposed to be a fine nib that flexes to a broad, but when I write with this one, it just starts out broad, so I don't flex it to make it any broader usually. It's just broad enough. But it's very, very smooth. And this is probably my favorite ink. It's Robert Oster Bronze. So it's a greenish brown or brownish green, and that is a beautiful ink. So I'll show you, that's me flexing. So there is not flexing and there's flexing. So there is flex, it's just when you start out with such a broad pen, a broad nib, I don't really see a point in flexing it. But I do enjoy how it feels when I write with it and how juicy the line is. Alright, so that is all of my 5 favorites for this year. And I'll just line them up so you can see them. So, oh, actually, there was something, I don't know what I said about this pen, but it actually is a button filler. So this Westerich Goldfink has a sack in it, and it's a button filler. So that's kind of an old-fashioned way of filling a pen, but this is a modern pen. And for this nomadic filler, it also has a sack inside, so the sacks can disintegrate after some time, and I'm hoping that I won't have to replace that sack anytime soon. So both of these pens have sacks, and I really prefer piston fillers, but really the most important things to me are the beauty of the pen and how well it writes, and I'll deal with the filling system later if I need to. So actually all of my favorites are made out of celluloid, except for this one, which is casein, but that's also a very beautiful material. So I hope that you enjoyed seeing our top 5 favorite pens, and that we have a great 2021. See you later, pen friends. Thanks for joining us. Happy 2021, pen friends. Thank you for getting us to 300 subscribers, and for liking our videos and commenting on them.
And for just watching our videos.
Here's our bunny, Tomoe River.
Cute little bunny.
He's our mascot on our channel.
Yeah, so we thought we would bring him in because it's a special event.
Alright, I hope you all have a wonderful year.
We do.
Bye.
Bye.